Jessica Torres, 29, overnight waitress at Miller's Diner, had exactly $12 in her wallet. Her son's asthma medication, $47, was due in 4 hours and her card would be declined. When an elderly man in torn clothes fumbled through empty pockets at table 7, unable to pay for his $3.50 coffee, Jessica didn't hesitate. She paid with her last $5 bill. What Jessica didn't know, that man owned the diner and 47 other restaurants. 3 days later, everything changed. Jessica's bank account, $12. Her 6-year-old son Marcus's inhaler, $47. Due by 6 a.m. or the pharmacy wouldn't hold it. The shut-off notice taped to her apartment door said 48 hours until no electricity. Her husband had left 8 months ago. Walked out when Marcus was diagnosed. When the medical bills started piling up. $34,000 in debt now. Collections calls every morning at 7 a.m. sharp. Before the diagnosis, Jessica had dreams. Community college, nursing school, a house with a yard where Marcus could play. But she'd sold everything. Her laptop, her mother's jewelry, her wedding ring on Facebook Marketplace for $89 to cover co-pays the insurance wouldn't touch. She worked the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., at Miller's Diner on Route 9. Slept 3 hours a day, lived on coffee and leftover fries. Wednesday, 2:34 a.m. The diner was empty except for 2 truck drivers and an old man at table 7. He looked about 70. Tattered gray coat, worn boots with duct tape holding the sole, hands shaking as he counted coins on the table. Jessica watched him from behind the counter. She knew that look, the shame of not having enough. What Jessica did next would cost her everything. The old man's coffee sat cold in front of him, $3.50. He was 87 cents short. Jessica looked at the $5 bill in her apron pocket, her last cash until Friday. Marcus needed that inhaler in 4 hours. If she spent this, she'd have $12 total. Not enough. But the man's eyes, watery, embarrassed, looked down at the table. His hands trembled harder as he tried to. Count the coins again. 27 cents. 34 cents. Still not enough. Jessica walked over. Her heart pounded. "Sir," she said quietly, placing the $5 on the table, "coffee's on me tonight, please." The man looked up, his eyes filled with tears. "Why?" he whispered. Jessica smiled, though her stomach twisted with fear. "Because someone did it for me once. When I needed it." She walked back to the counter. The $5 was gone. Marcus's medicine was further away. She closed her eyes and prayed this was the right choice. That decision would destroy her life in ways she never imagined. Thursday, 5:47 a.m. Jessica's shift ended. She drove straight to the pharmacy, handed the pharmacist her card. "Declined," the woman said, not looking up. Jessica tried again. Same result. $12 wasn't enough. The pharmacist put Marcus's inhaler back on the shelf. "You have until Friday to pick it up. Then we release it." Jessica sat in her 2004 Honda Civic. The check engine light glowed orange. She'd given away $5 for a stranger's coffee. Now Marcus might have an asthma attack. She was a terrible mother. But then she remembered the old man's face, the gratitude, the dignity she'd given him. That had to count for something. Friday, 3 p.m. Marcus wheezed in the back seat, his breathing shallow, rapid. Jessica's hands gripped the steering wheel. She was driving to her mother's house to borrow money. Again, the shame burned in her chest, but a text message lit up her phone. Unknown number. "Jessica Torres, this is Margaret from Miller's Diner corporate office. We need you to come to 1847 Riverside Boulevard, Suite 900, tomorrow, 10 a.m. It's urgent." Jessica stared at the text. Corporate office? She'd worked at Miller's for 4 years. Never heard from corporate. Was she being fired? The parking lot incident last week. The cook said she took too many breaks. Her stomach sank. But why would they text her to come in? Usually they just fired you on the spot. What Jessica was about to discover would change. Everything she thought she knew. If this story is touching your heart, please subscribe to Everyday Kindness Stories. We share these stories to prove that good people still exist, even when the world feels dark. What happens next will restore your faith in humanity. The address Jessica received wasn't just any office building. And the old man from table 7? He wasn't who she thought. What he was about to reveal would seem impossible. Saturday, 9:58 a.m. Jessica walked into the building downtown. Glass skyscraper. 32 floors. The lobby had marble floors and a fountain. She wore her only clean shirt, white, wrinkled, from Target 3 years ago. She took the elevator to the 9th floor, Suite 900, Miller's Restaurant Group, corporate headquarters. A receptionist smiled. "Jessica Torres?" she asked. "Mr. Miller is expecting you. Follow me." Jessica's heart stopped. "Mr. Miller?" Robert Miller, the founder, the man who started Miller's Diner in 1987, worth $2.3 billion according to the local business magazine. She'd seen his photo once, in a frame near the kitchen, but that was 20 years old. The receptionist opened a door, and there he was, the old man from table 7. But he wasn't in torn clothes. He wore a navy suit, polished shoes, silver watch. He stood by a window overlooking the river. He turned. "Jessica Torres," he said. "Thank you for coming, and thank you for the coffee Wednesday night." Jessica's mouth went dry. You're Robert Miller?" He nodded. "For the past 3 years I've been testing my employees. 214 locations. I dress like I have nothing. I go to my diners. I watch who treats me with kindness, who treats me like I'm invisible. You were the first person in 3 years out of 89 employees tested who paid for my coffee with your own money. Margaret told me you're a single mother. Medical debt. I looked into your file. You gave me your last $5. What Mr. Miller offered next would seem too good to be true. I'm 76 years old," Mr. Miller said. "I have no children. No wife. She passed 9 years ago. I've spent my life building this company. 48 restaurants, 1,200 employees, worth $340 million in assets. And I've been searching for someone who understands what it means to serve others, not for tips, not for recognition, but because it's right." He handed Jessica a folder. "I'm offering you a position, Regional Director of Employee Services. Your job: make sure every employee in our company is treated with dignity, fair wages, health insurance, emergency funds for people like you. Salary, $95,000 a year." Jessica's hands shook. She couldn't breathe. I don't have a degree. I barely finished high school." "You have something better," Mr. Miller said. "You have compassion. Your son's medical bills, all $34,000, I'm paying them. Today. Your son's medication, covered for life through our company health plan. And this." He handed her an envelope. She opened it. A check. $15,000. For rent. For your car. For everything you've sacrificed. Jessica collapsed into the chair. Tears poured down her face. "Why me?" she whispered. Mr. Miller smiled. "Because you gave me your last $5 for a $3.50 coffee. That's not kindness, Jessica. That's humanity. That's what I've been searching for. But the story doesn't end there." 2 years later. Jessica Torres, 31, Regional Director of Employee Services at Miller's Restaurant Group. She'd created an emergency fund that helped 847 employees pay unexpected medical bills, car repairs, eviction notices. $4.2 million distributed. Lives saved. Families kept together. Marcus, now 8, was healthy, thriving in school. His inhaler always stocked. Jessica lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with a small balcony where Marcus grew tomatoes. She'd enrolled in online business courses. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. Mr. Miller had the $5 bill framed. It hung in his office. A plaque beneath it read, "The $5 that changed everything." One small act of kindness led to thousands. Jessica visited his office once a month. They had coffee together. She always paid as a joke. He always laughed. She kept the receipt from that Wednesday night. 2:34 a.m., $3.50 coffee. Paid with a $5 bill. She'd lost everything that night. Her last cash, her security, her plan to buy Marcus's medicine. But she'd gained something more valuable. Purpose. Proof that kindness, even when it costs everything, is never wasted. Mr. Miller had spent 3 years searching for someone who understood what it meant to choose compassion over convenience. And Jessica had passed a test she didn't know she was taking. She hadn't just paid for a stranger's coffee, She'd changed her entire life. Kindness is never wasted. It might cost you your last $5. But somewhere, somehow, it comes back in ways you never imagined. Good people still exist. You just have to be one of them. If this story moved you, please subscribe to Everyday Kindness Stories and hit that bell icon. We share these stories to prove humanity is still beautiful. Next time, we'll share the story of a bus driver who gave his jacket to a freezing homeless woman, and what happened 3 weeks later will blow your mind. Thank you for watching. Remember, your kindness matters. We'll see you in the next one.